Hey Google, do you like fish and chips?
I like fish for their finning attitude. What would you like to know about them?
Oh dear. Hello and welcome to Big Friendly Grub. I hope you are well and welcome to the very last Veganuary special. We've done a lot of great things for this Veganuary. We've made brownies, we've made KFC Singer burgers, and we've made a barbecue feast. And I want to finish off with something I actually haven't even made like the meaty version of, and that's fish and chips. And I know what you're thinking, how can you have fish and chips without fish? Well, it's all about substitution. It's finding something to replace the fish, but something that we can kind of get the texture and a little bit of that saltiness that we get from a fish. And I'm going to be trying banana blossom. Now, if you don't know what banana blossom is, it's this. You can get hold of it fresh, but it's much easier to get hold of in a can, and it's all prepared for you. And the banana blossom is literally the flower that hangs underneath the bunch of bananas. Bananas are actually technically a berry, and I think the tree that they grow on is a herb, and it's all kinds of things that you never expected. But it's actually very good for substituting fish with, or at least in fish and chips. And if you want to know what it looks like this. Ta-da! So this is what it looks like. You can see it's quite fibrous and it's quite wet. And that's kind of why we're using it, because it's got that sort of like flaky texture that you would get from fish and chips. I'm gonna hold them up like that so you can see them a bit better. But you can see it's very fibrous and it's kind of got that texture that we want. So I'm gonna be probably like using these two pieces, and I'm gonna be basically battering them, frying them, and serving them with chips, and we're going to see how it goes. And I'm quite excited about this because, like I said, I've not actually made fish and chips itself before, which is another video for another time. So let's get started with trying to do this, because I'm very, very excited about it and I want to see how it turns out. So let's go. So first things first, I'm going to prep my potatoes to make my chips, because that's nice and easy. I want to go for like the soggy in a bag kind of chips that you get from a fish and chip shop, which for some reason are a staple of British fish and chips, and they work so well. I don't know why they do. Soggy chips shouldn't work, but they do. And that's what I'm going for. So I've got 3 Maris Piper potatoes here, which I'm just going to peel, if I can find my peeler. Oh, here it is. So quickly peel these, mind your fingers. Right, now with my potatoes peeled, I'm just going to cut them into chip shapes. We're not going for like gastro chips or anything here, so they don't have to be like super even or anything. We're going for good old fish and chips. There you go, a nice load of chips, which I'm just going to pop to one side for now, while we prepare our fish. Our fish? Don't know why I said fish like that, because clearly my voice is all over the place. But yeah, we're going to prepare our fish, or rather our banana blossom. Right, for our fish, and I'm just going to keep calling it fish because it's easier to say than banana blossom each time, we're going to need a batter. So I've got 250 grams of plain flour here. Just going to add in a pinch of salt, and then into that I'm going to add about 250 millilitres of beer. Now be careful what beer you use, because not all beer is vegan, because sometimes they use animal products in the process of making beer. I don't know exactly what it is, I just know that it's a thing. If Steve was here, he'd be able to tell us. If you don't want to risk it, then you can always use something like ginger beer or Sprite, or go crazy, experiment, you know, use Iron Brew or something, I don't know. Or you could just use like sparkling water, that's good as well. But I'm going to use this beer. It's an alcohol-free vegan beer. I know it's vegan because I checked online before buying it, and it's alcohol-free because I don't drink and I prefer not to use alcohol in food unless I can help it. So I'm going to go in with 250 ml of this and just stir it into a batter. There we go, we've got a good smooth batter there. And I'm just going to pop in a tablespoon of white miso paste, because I want that for some umami flavour, because usually obviously fish is quite salty and savoury. Banana blossom doesn't have that, so I'm going to add in some miso paste. I'm just going to stir that into the batter well. There we go, that's our batter already, looking nice and smooth. Right, I also want a coating to coat our fish with, because it's quite slimy, and by itself the batter may not stick to it well. So I'm going to coat it in some flour, but I want to season that flour first. So I'm going to use a teaspoon of salt. I'm also going to use 2.5 teaspoons of nori seaweed for that umami flavour. Don't spill it everywhere. But I want this a bit finer first. So I've got my pestle and mortar here. It's quite heavy duty. It doesn't get much of a use, but I'm going to use it today to save getting out a food processor food processor. Maybe that was an alcohol-free beer. Food processor. Anyway, I'm going to go in and just crush this up into a finer powder. There we go. That looks a lot finer now. There's still some larger bits, but that's fine because that'll be little pockets of flavour for that coating. So I'm going to pop that in here as well. And I'm just going to carefully stir that into the flour. Then I'm going to spread that flour over a baking tray to make it easy to coat my fish in. Right, now we can move on to the fun part, which is the frying. Right, first of all, I'm going to do my chips because I can get these done and I can pop them in the oven to just stay warm and get a little soggy. So I've got myself a deep fat fryer here with the oil, which is sunflower oil. You can use vegetable oil or rapeseed oil as long as it's, not olive oil because that hasn't got a high enough smoke point. This is at 140 degrees C. What we're going to do is one fry of our chips, give them a moment to rest, and then go back in at a higher heat, which should just give us some really nice chips. So these are going to go in for 4 to 5 minutes at 140 degrees C. Hey Google, set a timer for 4 minutes.
Okay, 4 minutes. Starting now.
Hey Google, do you like fish and chips?
I like fish for their spinning attitude. What would you like to know about them?
Oh dear. Give me a fish fact.
According to National Geographic, the only animals that naturally have an odd number of whiskers are catfish.
I'm just so lonely.
Right, those have had about 4 minutes and they've just formed a bit of a skin, as you can probably see there, or maybe not, but they have, take my word for it. Now I'm going to leave those just to dry off for a couple of minutes and then they can go back in at a higher temperature to crisp up into really nice chips. Right now my oil is up to 190 degrees C. These are going back into the oil for about another 5-6 minutes. Right, after another 5 minutes, we've got some lovely golden chips there. Look at those, they look amazing. Listen to the sizzle on those as well. Oh, they smell fantastic. So, I'm just gonna let those dry off some of the excess oil, but they're far too crisp for what we want them for. So, these need to be sogged up. Right, I'm gonna lay my chips across a baking sheet lined with some greaseproof paper. I'm going over with some salt and some vinegar, because all good chips need salt and vinegar. Then I'm placing over a cold, damp tea towel, and those are going into the oven at 160 degrees C while we cook our fish. Right, it's now time for the star of our show, our fish, or in this case, banana blossom. So you can see it's got that really flaky texture in there, which is hopefully going to emulate our fish. I've got 2 bits here, which I'm going to try and fry together, but if not, I'll just do 2 separate bits, but I've tried to put them together so that they fry together. Now we need to get this coated in our flour that we seasoned earlier. So I'm just going to coat that all around our fish, banana blossom, whatevs. I'm going to pop that into our batter, coat that all over. Usually I do the wet hand, dry hand technique, but I want to try and keep this banana blossom as intact as possible, which I'm not managing a very good job of, but this is fine. This is fine. This is fine.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
Right, with my oil at 190 degrees C, I'm going to gently lower this in and give that probably about 6 to 7 minutes. I'm hoping it will come out lovely golden and crisp. Make sure you move it around to get it all evenly coated, and also to make sure it doesn't stick to your basket that's in there as well. Right, after about 7, maybe even 8 minutes, look at that. That actually kind of looks like battered fish. That is the right sort of shape, got that lovely crisp on it. It's come out really well. Look at that. It's got all those like bits that you kind of want hanging off it, like the crispy bits. That looks really, really good. So I'm just gonna leave that to dry off, and then I'm gonna serve it with my chips. Wow, I'm really pleased with that. Really, really pleased with that. Look at that. If you handed that to me, I would have thought you'd hand me a plate of fish and chips. And kind of have, but obviously it's not fish, it's banana blossom, and that has come out so well. It looks bang on. I've served it up with a pickle and some frickles, some deep fried pickles, because I love pickles. Basically, fish and chips isn't fish and chips without some pickles for me, and deep frying things makes things better. So I've also got squeezed lemon and also my lovely chips and some vegan mayo as well, which I'm starting to prefer to the actual real mayo. So yeah, this is a veritable feast. But the main thing I want to find out is, does it taste right? Is it good? Is the texture right? Only one way to find out. I'm going to try and use a steak knife to kind of cut down through this. It's got a good crisp batter to it. You know what? That looks pretty darn fishy. It looks really good. Look at that. That looks really good. But what's it taste like? This is the main thing. So I'm just gonna bite into this like a savage, I'm sorry, but. Texture's slightly different, but that's pretty darn close, you know. That's really nice. That is really nice, actually. Really happy with that. That is super tasty. That is a great alternative. If you've gone vegan recently, or haven't had fish and chips ages since you've gone vegan, that is a really good alternative. I'm gonna have a chip. Nice sog on them. Really nice chips as well. Tell you what, I'm so happy with that. That has come out really, really well. That's kind of blown my mind a bit. I didn't think it would be that close. Really happy with that. Gotta keep saying it. Sorry, kind of stuck on loop now, but really happy with that. So there you have it. Vegan fish and chips. It is possible, and it's possible to get it really close as well. I know there's also alternatives. You can use aubergine if you can't get hold of banana blossom. Again, I haven't tried that before. Maybe that's another video for another time. But I also want to try and like do proper fish and chips at some point. And having done that, I really, really, really want to try that at some point and make it like really, really good. But for vegan fish and chips, first go. So happy with that. It's so tasty. I don't want to hang about. I want to go off and finish that. Really hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it useful. If you did, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. It really helps me out. But hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time on Big Friendly Grub. Bye.